On May 29, 2023, President Bola Tinubu stood in Eagle Square, Abuja, and made promises to millions of Nigerians. Not big ones, specific, measurable ones, promises with numbers attached, promises made in his own voice to a country that was waiting. Renewed hope, he said. 3 years later, we went back to those promises. We pulled the speeches, we checked the data and the current reality. This is what we found. In January 2023, Tinubu was on the campaign trail in Abeokuta, Ogun State. So the already anxious Nigerians, he says this.
Wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ epo àwọn á di 200, á di 500. Ẹ fọkàn balẹ̀,
That day, petrol was just 257 naira per litre. On May 29, 2023, his very first day in office, in his very first speech as president, this is what happened.
No provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone.
And just like that, the fuel subsidy was gone. But the subsidy removal was hardly the issue. To be fair, economic analysts and bodies like PwC and the NESG agreed that the subsidy was unsustainable. It was costing trillions, draining oil revenues and starving infrastructure. The problem wasn't the removal, it was a lack of survival cushion. There was no transition plan either. It was just gone. Now, fuel is at an average of 1,350 naira per litre. In the space of 3 years, the price of petrol increased by about 500%. And because fuel is the engine of everything in Nigeria, food, transport, manufacturing, nothing stayed the same price. Tinubu promised to redirect the saved money to infrastructure, education, healthcare. He said the pain was short-term and necessary for a longer-term gain. But Nigeria is still borrowing for all these things. And 3 years later, necessary and temporary pain seems to have become permanent. In October 2022, while Tinubu was on the campaign trail, making the case for why Nigerians should vote for him, he said this.
Whichever way, by all means necessary, you must have electricity. If I can't keep the promise and I come back for second term, don't vote for me.
He did not say, I will walk towards a better Nigeria. He did not say, we have a plan to improve power supply. He said, if I fail, don't vote for me. He sets his own benchmark. So let's see if he met it. 3 years in, Nigeria has added approximately 1,000 megawatts toward a 15,000 megawatts promise. That is less than 7% of the target, with 1 year left on the clock he set for himself. And it's not just that the target is being missed. It is that for the average Nigerian, the power situation remains deeply broken, while becoming more expensive. Electricity tariffs were increased significantly in 2024. Band A customers saw their tariff go from 68 naira per kilowatt hour to 225 naira. Nigerians are now paying more for the same darkness they have always lived with. When the presidency was asked to comment on the obvious failure in comparison to Tinubu's statements, here's what Daniel Bwala, Tinubu's special advisor on policy communications, said.
No, what he said was a statement of intent that is backed up by a commitment to make that happen. When you make such a commitment, the next thing is you put it to work, which is